Is OpenAI actually going to make a smartphone? There's a lot of rumors going around, and I'll explain to you most of the information that everyone missed. So let's talk about it. So on April the 27th, Qualcomm's stock jumped after a report claimed that OpenAI was working with them and MediaTek on processors for an AI-first smartphone. Not just an app, not just ChatGPT on iPhone, a phone with mass production reportedly targeted for 2028. But the strange part about this is that for almost a year, most credible reporting around OpenAI's hardware projects said the complete opposite. Sam Altman and Jony Ive weren't trying to build a phone, they were trying to build the thing that comes after the phone. And that contradiction is kind of like the whole story here, because whether or not OpenAI actually going to build a smartphone or it's a screenless device that makes your smartphone less important, the goal is essentially the same. OpenAI wants to own the next interface between you and AI. So how did OpenAI go from being the company inside your browser to possibly building the next phone? And why would the company behind ChatGPT spend billions of dollars trying to make a physical object when everyone already has a smartphone in their pocket? The answer is not just because phones are popular, it's because the phone is the gatekeeper. Apple and Google control the operating systems, the app stores, the notifications, the payments, the sensors, the camera, the microphone, the daily habit loop. And if AI agents become the next major computing platform, OpenAI doesn't just want to be another app sitting inside someone else's ecosystem. OpenAI is not just trying to make an iPhone, OpenAI is trying to make the iPhone moment for AI. The phone rumor matters because it tells us OpenAI might be realizing something very simple. If AI is going to act on your behalf in the real world, it needs to access your real world. And right now, the device with the best access to the real world is still your phone. Now, if we actually look back here, the first clue actually came in May of 2025 when OpenAI agreed to buy I.O., a secretive hardware startup co-founded by former Apple design chief Jony Ive. CNBC reported that the deal was worth about $6.4 billion in an all-stock deal transaction, while Reuters described the deal as $6.5 billion. Either way, it was one of OpenAI's biggest moves into consumer hardware. And remember, the person that they bought wasn't just any designer. This guy helped design the look and feel of the iMac, iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, MacBook Air, and OpenAI said Ive would take on extensive creative and design responsibilities while they work on the project. Now, think about it, okay? This matters because his most famous product, the iPhone, didn't win because it had one good feature. It won because it collapsed the whole category of devices into one object. It collapsed a phone, a camera, a music player, a browser, GPS, and a games console, and eventually a wallet. OpenAI's bet is basically that, AI will be needing a similar object. Not a chat window, not a browser tab, a thing you carry around that makes AI feel native to your life. But the weirdest part is that OpenAI's first device was repeatedly described as not being a smartphone. And Axios reported in January 2026 that OpenAI was on schedule to introduce its first device in the second half of 2026, but the details are still unclear. Reports pointed to compact screenless prototypes, potentially wearable, and Altman had described the device as calmer than a smartphone. So the first version of the story was not OpenAI is making an iPhone, it was OpenAI is trying to escape the iPhone. Now, in November of 2025, Altman and Ive actually gave some clear hints that most people missed on what they were building. Sam Altman said they actually had the first prototypes, and CNBC reported that Sam Altman was aiming for a device with a calmer vibe than current smartphones. His comparison was pretty brutal. He said that using current devices felt like walking through Times Square, constantly hit by distractions, but the ideal device would feel more like sitting by a calm lake in the mountains, and that's kind of like the anti-phone pitch. The smartphone is powerful, but it's also pretty noisy. It just wants your eyes, it wants your thumb, it wants your attention split across different notifications, apps, feeds, and ads, and red dots. OpenAI's device, at least in theory, is supposed to do the exact opposite. Understand your context and understand you enough to interrupt you less. CNBC basically described this as a future AI device that something could work for long periods of time, sift through information, and decide when something was important enough to alert you. And it said that the device would be able to know what you had thought about or read. And that is a massive promise. It's also a massive privacy problem. Because to be useful in that way, when you think about it, the device needs context. It needs to know where you are, what you're doing, what you said, what you've seen, and what matters to you, and when it should stay quiet. And that's why the reporting keeps coming back to cameras, microphones, speakers, and screenless as a form factor. Now, TechCrunch, summarizing Financial Times reporting, described the concept as a palm-sized device without a screen that can take audio and visual cues from the physical environment and respond to users' requests. The Verge reported that the device was expected to interact through a microphone, speaker, and possibly cameras, while being small enough to carry or place on a desk. And that brings us to the hardest design problem in AI, hardware. Not making the device smart, but making it socially tolerable. A phone only listens when you use it. A screenless AI companion has to decide when to listen, when to speak, when to stop speaking, and when to disappear. One source briefed on the plans told the Financial Times, The Verge's summary, that the idea was to create a friend whose computer who isn't your weird AI girlfriend. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it points to the whole issue. If the device is too cold, it's useless. If it's too friendly, it's creepy. If it talks too much, you hate it. If it talks too little, you're going to forget that it exists. This is why OpenAI's hardware challenge is not really industrial design, it's behavior design. The product has to understand the room. And OpenAI knows what happens when this goes wrong. Because remember the first wave of AI gadgets that already failed. Humane's AI pin launched at $699, and that was supposed to be one of the first serious attempts at a screenless AI assistant, but The Verge reported that from May to August 2024, more AI pins were being returned than sold. The company had reportedly brought in just over $9 million in lifetime sales for the pin and accessories, and had shipped roughly 10,000 units and accessories, and originally hoped to ship around 100,000 pins in the first year. And the reviews were savage. The Verge's David Pierce said the AI pin just doesn't function, and Marcus Brownlee called it the worst product he had ever reviewed. And that review became a cultural moment because it exposed the central problem with AI's hardware. A futuristic device is only impressive if it works better than the phone it is trying to replace. The Rabbit R1 had a similar issue. The Rabbit R1 cost $199, but Tom's Guide gave it a 1.5 out of 5 and said to avoid it because of the unreliable performance, inaccurate answers, short battery life, missing features, and integrations like Uber, DoorDash that didn't work reliably. And these failures matters because they reveal the trap that OpenAI is walking into. Consumers do not reward AI native hardware just because it's AI native. They reward convenience, they reward reliability, they reward battery life, they reward not having to carry one more thing. And that's why this announcement is so interesting. According to Reuters analysts, one of them said that OpenAI was working with Qualcomm and MediaTek on smartphone processors for an AI-first smartphone with mass production likely in 2028. Now, the companies didn't immediately comment, but Reuters also noticed that earlier media reports had described OpenAI's planned device as not being a smartphone. And this could mean two things. One, the report is about a separate later OpenAI phone, or two, the category is blurring because the pocket-sized AI device with microphone, cameras, connectivity, and processors, and real-world context starts to look suspiciously like a phone, even if nobody wants to call it one. And this matters now because OpenAI's hardware story is moving from vague design ambition into supply chain reality. Reuters reported that Qualcomm shares jumped after that report, and that Luxshare, an Apple supplier, was named the exclusive system and manufacturing partner for the reported AI-first smartphone. Reuters had also previously reported that OpenAI tapped an Apple supplier to make said AI device. But the timeline is kind of messy because Axios also reported in January 2026, which most people may not remember, that OpenAI was aiming to unveil its first device in the second half of 2026, and Business Insider later reported that a court filing said OpenAI did not expect its first hardware devices to ship to customers before the end of February 2027, and now the smartphone processor reports to mass production in 2028. So the safest interpretation of all of this, the conclusion that I've come to, is that OpenAI probably has more than one hardware idea in motion. The first Jony Ive device may be screenless, calm, and companion-like, and the later device may actually look like a full AI-first smartphone. Both are aimed at the same strategic problem today. AI lives inside platforms controlled by Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Meta, and if OpenAI can build a product that you talk to all day, it becomes more than a model provider. It becomes the operating layer of your life, your reminders, your calendars, your search, your messages, your purchases, your camera, your memory, your assistant, your interface to everything. That is also why the privacy stakes are so high. Scientific American noted that AI wearables with microphones and cameras can pull everyone around the user into the data stream, not just the person who bought the device. The problem is not whether you trust OpenAI with your data, it's whether everyone near you consented to being part of your AI's context. So when people say that OpenAI is making a phone, the more accurate version here is that OpenAI is trying to make a device that gives AI a body. Maybe that body is a screenless companion on your desk, maybe it's a pocket-sized assistant, and maybe it eventually comes as a full AI-first smartphone. But the real question is not what shape it takes. The real question that nobody's asking is that whether OpenAI can actually make a device that's useful enough to carry, private enough to trust, and calm enough that it doesn't just become another rectangle screaming for your attention. Because the iPhone gave the internet a pocket, and OpenAI is trying to give AI a presence. And if that does work, the next big platform might not be the iPhone you look at, it might be the computer that looks back.